that
I was just...
there's modern planets. I'm still on the fence. Let's see. Now, it's claimed by the Western world that a man named William Herschel.
Must have discovered some freaking planets. William Herschel spell is his last name spelled
Herschel.
Herschel.
I looked at that question and I knew he was the...
A man named William Herschel, because of the other options.
Yeah.
He discovered Uranus.
Why do you name it that?
On March 13th, 1781. The March 13th ain't the big deal, but 1781 is the year. It's important to know, around the time. So William Herschel, according to Western sources, William Herschel discovered Uranus on March 13th, 1971.
1781?
I'm sorry. 1781.
It's like recent.
1781 or 19?
No.
17 is still
Both.
1781 is recent.
1781 is very
that's
recent.
only like 200 years ago.
And he discovered it by looking through a telescope.
So he discovered the telescope.
William Herschel discovered Uranus by looking through a telescope in 1781. The year, the name of the man who discovered Uranus, William Herschel, on the test. The year, 1781, on the test. Looking through a telescope on the test. That's how he did it. Okay? Now, it was first photographed by NASA, by a NASA spacecraft called Voyager 2 in 1986.
Wow.
It was first photographed by a NASA spacecraft called Voyager in 1986.
200 years later.
The planet Neptune is said to have been discovered by a group of men named Urbain Le Verrier, John Couch Adams, and Johanna Galley. For the test, I only have one of those names mentioned as John Couch Adams.
They discovered Neptune.
They discovered Neptune.
John Adams and his
John Couch Adams and his crew. And for me, if you Google the name John Couch Adams, or if you look in encyclopedia the name John Couch Adams, the other two will be associated with him. So I use John Couch Adams as the reference point for the group that discovered Neptune around 1845 or 1846. So they first discovered Uranus. William Herschel discovered Uranus in 1781, and then John Couch Adams discovered Neptune in 1845 or 1846 with a group. Now, Neptune was photographed by Voyager 2 on August 25th, 1989. Those are all important dates.
1989.
1989, it was first photographed. So, again, Uranus was first seen by William Herschel in 1781 by looking through a telescope. It was first photographed in 1986. Neptune was first discovered by John Couch Adams and crew in 1845 or 1846. First photographed in 1989.
Was it by Voyager 1 or 2?
By Voyager 2.
And 86 is Voyager 2 as well?
Yes. Okay. So, the idea that there are planets that have been discovered in modern times has actually been shattered by a countless number of researchers in recent years. Although people like Credo Mutua, who we will discuss in a moment, had spoke out against these false claims of discoveries for decades, now we have Western researchers who have begun to accept the fact that every so-called discovery that contemporary powers try to force-feed us through public schools and news and radio broadcasts over and over, they're in fact things that were not discovered by observation, but rather by studying the history and knowledge of ancient people. Nonetheless, the evidence that the ancient inhabitants of the area surrounding the Nile River, whether you call them chemical, Khemetan, Ethiopian, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Abyssinian, or Sumerian, they had knowledge of Uranus and Neptune. Again, the evidence is so overwhelming, and we're confident that you'll discover this fact with just a few key words. Take these keywords and explore the internet as well as encyclopedias. We suggest starting with a group of videos entitled The Anunnaki on the video library page of our website. Then, get a copy of the book series entitled Earth Chronicles by Zechariah Sitchin. And if you can't afford the Earth Chronicles, it's a 7-part series, just get the 12th Planet by Zechariah Sitchin.
Sitchin?
Zechariah Sitchin. Z-E-C-H-A-R-I-A. Sitchin. S-I-T-C-H-I-N. Zechariah Sitchin. The 12th Planet or the Earth Chronicles. Okay? Now, we wouldn't want to let you leave here with no ammunition. So, we do want to give you a quote from Zechariah Sitchin. If you want to know why his statement means so much, look him up. You'll find that most established educational, historical, and scientific literary sources boldly deny all of his claims. Let me say that again. Most established educational, scientific, literary sources boldly deny all of his claims. More reason to pay attention to what he has to say. He's hated by most established literary institutions.
Who?
Zechariah Sitchin. And you'll find that. His rap sheet is long enough. All you got to do, keyword it. You already know about Sitchin. He's serious, okay? And he's a serious alternative theorist. Like, they don't like this guy. But his work is massive, okay? And again, this man's life is a credit to his credentials. If you just research this man's life and see where he's been, his credentials speak for themselves, okay? But what he said was, when Voyager 2 traveled beyond Jupiter and Saturn and neared Uranus, NASA broadcast live transmission from the spacecraft. Sitting at home, you could see electronic piece by electronic piece how the image of Uranus developed. Finally, you could see a beautiful blue-green planet. I literally jumped from my seat and shouted. But that is exactly how the Sumerians described it, as a blue-green watery planet. It sent chills up my spine at the time. He said when he saw the image being electronically dispersed piece by piece, when he saw it coming into fruition, he said he jumped out of his seat. And he said that's exactly how the Sumerians described it. Because he had never seen it. He saw it described. He said, as a blue-green watery planet. Okay? So I wrote, this is Zechariah Sitchin, he says, so I wrote an article for Omni predicting what will be found on Neptune, because remember, this is, what year did they first photograph Uranus?
1986.
86, Uranus.
86. Okay, this is 86. They didn't photograph Neptune until 89.
That's right.
Okay? So he said, I wrote an article for Omni predicting what will be found on Neptune some 7 or 8 months later, based on Sumerian knowledge that describes Neptune and Uranus as twin blue-green planets. That's big. There's Sumerian knowledge that described Neptune and Uranus as twin blue-green planets. So 2 of the extra planets that are mentioned in ancient Sumerian texts were twin green bluish planets in the Sumerian text. He says, I predicted that Neptune would be a twin of Uranus in many respects. Omni didn't publish it until after my prediction proved true. When they saw the Voyager 2 images of Neptune, they told readers that my article had been submitted before the Neptune images and admitted that they sat on it.
That's good.
Yeah, they at least said, okay, this dude gave us this article years before we saw Neptune. And this is what we saw on Neptune. He says, I told my editor at Avon that I was bursting to let people know that every day, this is a white dude, he says that every day we see a new corroboration of ancient knowledge.